I don't know if you'll ever see this, and if you do, if you'll ever acknowledge this. And I understand about having to keep a barrier around oneself for one's own protection. Believe me, I know. It strikes me that you come from a less than affluent background. I know that you've struggled with recording equipment, and maybe you can hear me. I'm kind of pinning some hopes on it because I don't know how to break through. As with a lot of other things, and I know people will say I'm racist, but telling the truth is not racist. As with a lot of other things, gaming videos are dominated by middle-class white men who have opportunities for education, able-bodied men, heterosexual men, young men, who have opportunities for education and exposure and networking that a lot of us do not. I am a person who's vision impaired, and I have brain injuries, and I have issues with memory and with being intimidated by logic and engineering and mathematics. I was beaten and not allowed to go to bed or eat for hours and hours if I didn't finish my algebra homework. How well do you think I learned algebra? I was beaten for not being able to remember things. And the beatings, of course, is what caused the brain injuries. So how well do you think I could remember things? I've been trying for 2 years to learn Redstone. I watch tutorials and I watch tutorials, and you guys understand the concepts so well and so easily that I don't even think you grasp how quickly you go past one concept to another concept. I try very hard to understand Redstone. There are things I want to build that I think can be built, that I don't think anybody else has thought to build. I try so hard to understand Redstone. And I go to your plot on your server, and I look at your devices. I chase the wires. I look at the materials the devices are made out of to see, would this plant food? Is this 2 blocks tall? Could a mob spawn in this? That's what I do on your plot. I will spend hours over there looking at stuff, trying to comprehend it. I wish I could see underneath your builds so that I could chase the wires all the way under. And I wish the builds were labeled so that at least I knew what the device is supposed to do. And I also wish there was some sort of mark of where an input is, because some devices look like they just go around in circles. There's a lot of those on Fenneman's plot that I can't see where they start and I can't see where they end, and I'm not the only one who can't. I've talked to other people on the server about this and they can't see it. I've also talked to a lot of my subscribers and people on your server and people elsewhere who really want to understand Redstone. And what I've learned from staring at your stuff is that I need to spend a lot of time looking at Redstone close up, and sir, your server is the first place in my life I've been able to do that, to just look at it. You and Ease built a AFK thing that's triggered dispensers triggered by a pressure plate. I figured it out. I went to my own creative Redstone server and I replicated it. I figured it out. I have a question about why the buckets sometimes come out and wash away, but I think that's because I'm probably putting them in wrong, which bucket is full and which bucket is empty, but I'm starting to grasp it, and I will bug check it, and I will figure it out. I will figure it out. And then I saw something on your plot that I do believe is a tileable stone generator that I think is supposed to be operated by that little AFK thing with the pressure plates and the dispensers. Well, when I built mine, lo and behold, I had my monsters on. I was in creative, but my monsters were on, and a spider, you know how the monsters like to come toward you, a spider climbed on top of that thing. I know, spiders are 2 blocks wide. That spider got in that thing and started riding it back and forth and activating it. I guess just its belly was in it or something. But it was activating it, so you could use mobs to operate that thing. Sir, I want a chance to learn Redstone. I want a chance to learn a lot of things, but I want to learn Redstone because I want to be good at this game. And people can't be good at Minecraft if they don't do Redstone. But I need to learn the way I need to learn. Tutorials go very quickly. YouTube doesn't allow us to pause and rewind easily. It's a pain, and you know that. I suggested today that devices need to be labeled so that when we come to people's exhibits and displays and plots, we can at least know what the device is supposed to do even if we can't figure out how it does it, because if I stand there long enough, I will figure out how it works, and I will be able to replicate it. I know that now. My father was an electronics engineer. He worked on missions to outer space, the recording equipment on Voyager. He created that. That's transmitting. It's an old 8-track. It's transmitting information back for the first time. Humanity is outside the solar system, and Voyager is transmitting information back. And my father built that equipment. I've been taking apart electronics since FM radios, sir, and putting them back together. I know what a diode is. I know what a capacitor is. I know what a lot of the little pieces are, but I'm going to have to relearn all the jargon now in Redstone. Because what's an OR latch? What's a jeb door? I've got to look all that stuff up and learn what they are, because people mention them. And then I need to do the research and find out what they are. I end up so confused by the middle of a Redstone tutorial that I feel so disheartened and discouraged that I give up. And I'm not the only one. A lot of us do. People with backgrounds in engineering or in Redstone or in electronics or in logic are generally, I'm going to say it again, middle class, able-bodied white males with the opportunity for such things as university, or at least they have the opportunity for higher education. A lot of us don't. And there's a way of thinking and a way of speaking in that, I'm going to call it an academic genre, that academic milieu, that is different than the way people on the streets think and speak. But that doesn't mean that we don't have something valuable to offer and to contribute. And no, I'm not just talking about Minecraft. I'm talking about in the world. But we learn the way we learn. Now, I know that I learn differently than you do, and than a lot of Redstone gurus do. And I think that I've got positive criticism to offer to make Redstone more accessible to a lot more people than it is right now. And I don't want to feel personally attacked for suggesting such a thing. I realize it's probably a radical concept to some people to just label a device so that other people can walk up to it and at least appreciate what it's supposed to do, even if they can't understand how it does it. I need to feel that I'm accepted as a peer, even though my experience is radically different than many other people in this game and who have influence in the world. My life is radically different than that of most people in gaming. Most of them are young, male, middle class. They've never gone hungry. They can take a shower whenever they want. They're not in chronic pain. They don't have to deal with memory issues or being triggered by post-traumatic stress disorder or just completely blacking out when something gets too stressful and not being able to hear or even see what's going on. There are a lot of people like me. We have a lot to contribute. We need to contribute. And to squander our potential because, well, this is just the way it's always been, is wasteful. I think you can understand that. Frankly, I'm asking you to keep that in mind, because I'm not even allowed to speak my experience without getting dogpiled by groups of people who interpret my critique as personal criticism of individuals rather than hearing that I'm saying it could be taught better. I need somebody to hear me and to speak up and champion what I'm saying. Can you do that? I think you might be a gentle man, and I think you're an ethical man, and I think you appreciate hard work, and I think maybe you can appreciate how very, very hard we work to try to keep up and to contribute and to participate as equals. It breaks my heart to know that people with disabilities and women, LGBT people, people of color, are being shut out of the conversation about where technology is going. And let's face it, Minecraft represents some sort of new digital medium. Something is changing. There's a paradigm shift in the way digital media is being created. And Minecraft is fundamental to that. And I want to see that Minecraft is inclusive of all the potential of humanity in the conversation. That we're not shut out because the way things have always been done is the way it's going to be done, because the conversation is dominated by people who think one way and can't even conceive of the fact that other people think another way or learn another way. We have different ways of learning. Standing in front of that redstone, sir, I feel so successful and I feel so accomplished because I could grasp it just by being close to it and going all around it and looking at it carefully. I understood it. My skills are so remedial compared to yours, and I understand that. The first talkie video you made was a let's play where you had a bunch of spider spawners, you lucky thing. Cave spider spawners, and you were making traps for them where they would go down a water chute and they would get to a crusher. You were so self-conscious and so reserved, and you almost sounded depressed. You sounded like you were hesitant to talk, that maybe you thought that people that they would criticize you for speaking. You know when all that fell away and you turned into Xisuma? When you started describing the wiring for that spider crusher. That sweetness in your voice, that smile in your voice that you have now, there it came. It was music to hear you describe that circuitry, that simple little circuit to operate a spider crusher. I want that music in my voice, Xisuma. I want to approach a redstone device with grace and joy and confidence. I want the sense of satisfaction that I felt when I built that dispenser AFK machine. I want that. And what's getting in my way is that tutorials speak too quickly, that YouTube is not very accessible, hard to pause, hard to rewind, that I can't get close enough to the various components and chase the wires. I see that I need to learn redstone a different way than it's being taught. Will you help me learn how to learn redstone and learn how to teach it? Please help me. Because there's a lot of people out here that have a lot to offer, not just to the game of Minecraft, but to this new digital interactive paradigm that Minecraft represents the ground floor of. Every time there's a flood in some place like Biafra or a famine, when I look at those starving children, I think, which one of those children could have cured cancer? I'm very passionate about an equal playing field where we can all learn together. I suspect you are too. Will you work with me to make redstone more accessible? Please. I know this can be done. Thank you.